Shabbat
We
shalom.
want to welcome our congregation and our internet audience back to Yah's Sabbath Day Holy Convocation, hosted here at the House of Israel in Cincinnati, 1664 California Avenue. We just had our lunch, which we're going to thank the Almighty for. And we have our brother, Chief Malachi, who's from Shema Israel under Prince Sapor. And he's going to do our prayer, as well as he's going to come back and give us a lesson today. Hallelujah. Give the brother a round of applause and welcome. Hallelujah.
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 Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yisrael, Malek HaOlam, King of the universe, great is your name and worthy to be praised. O Heavenly Father, we humbly beseech thee, O great King. We continually ask for knowledge, wisdom, and above all things, understanding. O Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us a culture that's second to none. We thank you for giving us the Shabbat day, a day that is a sign between us and the nation, a sign between you and Yisrael, O great King. O Heavenly Father, we ask that you watch over Yisrael in the four corners of the earth. We ask that you watch over Yisrael, O great King, and continue to bless us. Let us all have one understanding, if it be your will, O great King. Watch over the brothers and sisters, those who may be hurting spiritually, those who may be hurting physically, mentally, or emotionally, or even financially, O great King. We say Todah Yah for being the source of all of our resources, O great King. We ask that you watch over those, O great King, that cry out to you in truth. We ask that you watch over Yisrael, though we have differences, O great King. If it be your will, let us come together under the banner of Yah, your holy name, O great King. O Heavenly Father, we humbly ask that you forgive us for our sins and our iniquities, those sins that we may have done presumptuously, those sins that we may have done out of ignorance, O great King. For we understand that ignorance of the law is no excuse. But hear our cries, hear our prayers, O great King. Watch over our Yeladim, O great King. If it be your will, let us instill the fear of you inside of them, O great King, that they may realize that even when we do not see them, you are still watching over them, O great King. O Heavenly Father, if it be your will, strengthen Israel. In your high and holy name, hallelujah.
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 Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise righteous all the time.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So whoever's first to come up and praise Almighty Yah.
Ladies first. Come on with it.
You want to be synchronized today, all right?
Praise Yah, giving glory to Yah.
Hallelujah.
The Spirit be able to praise Yah. Many don't. So hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
This song is about the great prophet, judge, and boy. No. That quality bad. It's over. Check your email. Try to get the one in the email. It's probably something like that. Play the other one first, and then try to get the one in your email. No. Sound clip.
Let her go first and then you come in.
Yeah.
Praise the mighty Yah. Praise the mighty Yah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Can we get a round of applause, please? Make some noise for Almighty. It was just a Shabbat day. He did not have to bring us here. He did not have to wake us up, but he did. So praise Yah. Put it on.
Y'all can heal your life.
Y'all want to hear Y'all Can Heal first? We gonna say Wake Up Jacob. Put it on Y'all Can Heal. That's fine. No, put it on Return to Yah. Put it on Return to Yah. Yeah. That was it. Turn it up a lot more. Hold on, start it over, turn it up.
One beat.
Okay. Hallelujah.
This is the Cinema Beats production.
Dear God, you still love me and fool. I'm still not doing the things that I told you that I wouldn't do. See why? I don't know why I disrespect you. You do for me that I didn't even ask for you. You say go right and I ain't go left. Now look at me, I'm praying all night. I won't go back no more. Please out, I'm asking you. See now, I never meant to hurt you like that. I just hope it's not too late to turn back.
Y'all can heal your life. Y'all can heal your life. When I'm wrong, to me you realize that it's only y'all who can heal your life. Y'all can heal your life.
Alright, who's next? We got Kimmy out coming up. Praise somebody out. Keep them hands clapping.
Praise y'all.
Praise Yah.
See if we can get it right this time. Ready? Turn it up. My Lord is a yeah. What you gonna call this one prophet? What you gonna call this one? Yeah. Yes, in my hand, yeah, I mean, moving the unity. I can show you the Monday, Elohim, let me go. I'm the torch, I acknowledge y'all, the one and only you anoints. Yeah, we should have chosen be. This your purpose, be. Hold you close, be. You a judge, baby. What it do, yo, say a warrior on Wall Street, say it 3 times. That's right. Rained in the exalt, captain of the host was Sarah, who swept in Hegel chef. Evil died about the gap. Came the nicest next for my people cried until God of justice at this time was the warrior goddess. 900 chariots of fire, mightily oppressive between Rama and Bethel and the Mount of Ephraim. She dwelled in half she commanded your sword. Now take her 10,000 men of Naphtali and Zebulun. I'ma come up on Kishana, she Sarah the captain from Iraq. Only if you go with me will I go up too. Surely notwithstanding, this journey is not for your own honor, but shall be delivered to the hands of a woman. Hey, yeah, I see them in the hand, yeah, I mean, moving the unity. I can show you the Monday, Elohim, let me go. I'm the torch, I acknowledge y'all, the one and only who anoints. Yeah, cause you're the chosen be. This your purpose, be. Hold you close, be. You a judge, baby. What it do, go see. Warrior on Wall Street, see it 3 times. Yeah, cause you're my chosen be. Abraham, my kin, said father of our Exodus here. 7 scales from his men, pop his skin in the plains of Zion. You know right like a death, then get gathered about 900. All with dumb heavy steps, corrupt like a chuck, encouraged by the judge. Rush, yes, like the spears, yes, the spears fell upon them with the hand of ill. Properly softened in their heart, then back up off me, plus a piece between the chin. See Sarah and also was guarded. I ill, went for the lottery, met the mill on the field. Mill was filled, loyalty to the lottery. Let him in his tent, the layers worries, fire to the fly and hurry. Show his shekels with the nail, he slept in his bloody. Yeah, I saw him in the hand, yeah, I mean, moving the unity. I can show you the Monday, Elohim, let me go. I'm the torch, I acknowledge y'all, the one and only who anoints. Yeah, cause you're the chosen be. This your purpose, be. Hold you close, be. You a judge, baby. What it do, go see. Warrior on Wall Street, see 3 times. Yeah, cause you're my chosen be. You're my chosen.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Turn it up. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Like the constant servant, Solomon's wisdom, your fingertips, divine pencil. Just look what Elohim did inside and out of time. This most only shine to man's life for reaching past the arc's lights. Holy priesthood, it was constricted to their palm. The view of Yah is the law, I still can never compromise. First bestowed upon me, choosing in the vein, my rays of different music. Melodic drums will say it come, your Buddha's fusion. I'm walking warrior, rolling from my master. master looking for a school to transfer. Could I be a prophet? Could I be a nobleman and live up to your honor? Study my name, Nehemiah. Study his game, refine his fire. What do I say? What do I say? I trust in you, if only you to deliver me. Shortest things over before this war. Cause I am on mental. Should I give up or keep reloading? And a blue pill transfer to my enemies. A cup of trembling. I'm a race of match through any circumstance. The universe is my power. What you get is what you asking. Through the actions, through the fruit of your doing. In this game I found the fire. I'm a son and lion. I'm a symbol, keep it brotherly. My meekness keep the heavens under me. Spiritual storm the streets, I'm under the soil. Where the water's deep until you got me. See that on that drip of the various. The water's too full to speak. You push make gardens a pool. You made the gardens a fool. I live despite the heart's deceptive, so it's suicidal. Serpents, man, the manifestation of both good and evil. Who can know his hand? Because I say it again, whether Sinai or red or better. Purest veins overflowing with the edge. The heavens, whatever weather. We training to the end, desire perfection. Never again can I disgrace your image. I'm saying, can I draw this end zone with perfect concentration? Till the day breaks, the shadows flee away. Turn my feet down, be thou as the young star upon the mountain feather. Till the day breaks, the shadows flee away. Young heart upon the mountain. Hallelujah.
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 Praise God.
Praise God.
That's what I got.
Hallelujah.
Praise God with your host. Hallelujah.
Continuously be magnified.
I got a whole lot of other songs coming soon. That will not collab with my sister Lena real soon.
Praise God.
That's it, bro. What you doing back there, huh? Nah. I already got a song with my brother Obadiah. Y'all gonna hear that song too. It's hot. It's fire. It's flaming fire. Consuming fire. Still got some more songs to do with people. My mom Dukes. We got our song coming too. That's already written. It's cool though. Yeah. New worlds, unique times, knowledge increase, break away from traditions, cause what the plantations taught us to be Christians. Now Messianic, discern before we turn to God. Be the king, the him you serve. The jealousy's nothing you've experienced in this earth. War on the front line with words I find them scriptures that's written. Open my eyes and heart to see what's hidden in wondrous things. X-ray my brains, God, know my determination never fade. It's something in it. I know my enemies hated the youngest dreams, let the nightmares true. Plotting on the revolute, cause I see no change in these future days, bro. I refuse to continue this way, yo. Oh man. It'll be a new world. Walk into the future. So we can have our own love. To a new world. Y'all never change, so it's on us to make a decision.
This is a new world we live in. The earth is a bubble for what we was given. The times that we live in, I swear through the man. Nothing is given, surrounded by wicked. They giving out tickets that act like a clown. I'm turning them down and bow to the east. Peace with the meat, and peace on the wheat. At times, including myself, a day at a time. I'm trying. Finding these phrases that linger my mind. I know I'm blessed to see yo in due time. But that insight don't mean nothing when you walking on both sides. So stuck in this cycle, I run to your lines for survival. That's my only shot with this rifle. So I loaded up. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, can't change I focus on my king. Yes, I focus on the king. So righteousness I can bleed. Our people the chosen seed. It will be a new world. Walking towards our future. So we can have our own law. Looking forward to a new world. New world. It's a new world. The present is a new world. God never changed, no. God never changed. So it's on us to make a decision and bend our ways. Looking forward to a new world, new world, new world. The future is a new world. The present is a new world. And God never changed, no. God never changed. So it's on us to make a decision and bend our ways. It will be a new world. Walking towards the future. So we can have our own law. Looking forward to a new world. New world. The future is a new world. The present is a new world. And God never changed, no. God never changed. So it's on us to make a decision and bend our ways, our ways. Serve our way. Serve our
Hallelujah.
Lena want us to sing Head to the Sky.
I'll let them go ahead and handle that.
Only for Lena, because we asked for it, so.
Tell us about the children.
In the top. Clap, clap, turn the music up. Clap, clap, clap. This is where I get my strength from. Hey, I know where I get my strength from. Praise praises to the Most High. Keep your head up, hey, oh, keep your head up to the sky. Keep your head up, we giving praises to the Most High. Keep moving, keep moving, and stay focused, and keep rising to the top. Hey, keep rising to the top. Hey, keep moving, stay focused, keep rising to the top. Hey, keep rising to the top. and put me to the test. I want you to guide my way, lead my steps, relieve my stress, and put me to the test. I want to believe in God. I choose to believe in God. Believe in the word of God. Hey, hey, hey. Believe in the word of God. Hey, hey, hey. Believe in the word of Yahweh. Believe in the word of Yah. Hey, hey, hey. Believe in the word of Yahweh. Praise God. I appreciate our energy. The Almighty appreciate our energy. Some more good teachers. Well, no. Wait, hold up. Hold up. We need oh man, we got the legendary, we got the great, you know what I mean? Like
We shook on that. Look, we
hit
shook on
maker, you
that.
know what I mean? Like we got tons of hit makers though, don't get it twisted, but we got the we got the
Yeah.
the one, you know what I mean?
Let me say something, first of all. Come on. You doing? Thank you. What am I here? Thank you. Come on. Come on. We need to put money behind his music.
Yep.
I'm just keeping it real. Like, he got songs that could go straight to the radio. You know, the song, and you wrote that hook, right? I write all the hook. Oh, see, that's what I see. Yes. They got a guy in New York, they call him Captain Hook. That's you. Captain Hook. 'Cause he listened to one lyric of your song and he got a hook for you right there.
What the hook?
Captain Hook. Yes, y'all, those songs, they really can go to the radio.
That's how y'all gonna get.
And that's how you bring people in. That music is a ministry. Don't forget that. Everybody that sings and writes and records and gets up and performs, that's a ministry. And you're gonna teach more people through music than you will ever teach. No offense, but than you'll ever, because music reaches every part of the brain. People don't know that. Yeah. Music is the only thing that you can do as a human that wakes up every part of the brain. So that's why when you asking the children, what's the 10 Commandments, they gonna bust out that song Ishmael wrote.
Right.
Because he sang the 10 Commandments. So this music is important. Don't play yourself. Don't play yourself. You can get an amazing blessing from the Most High just from putting out what He's putting you. You know. I'm just talking to Tin Market Radio.
Both of them.
Sorry, it's a little.
It's all right.
To
They got it. It's on tape. It's on tape.
Come on, let me hear you sing now. Come on, yeah. Oh, wise man once told me, trust in God with all your heart, and your prayers He will hear them. Oh, how I was there trying, and struggle with the face and heart, and so low in my spirit. But I know someone who is gonna walk with you and open up your gates and let them come on through. Oh, yeah. I came here. If you just yeah, I can hear you now. God, He will walk with you. If you just trust God, God will pull you through. So many trials we face in our time on this earth, but my shield and my buckler strengthens me to go further. I commit myself to delight in the Father's will. I set out all alone, but my faith is strong, and I know someone who is gonna walk with you. Open up your gates and let them come on through. Ooh, yeah. If you my light seems to be low. Power from it, power from it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Give the praise to the Most High, well, it only heavens and the sky, yeah. Choose the righteousness to be told. Wisdom over silver and the gold, yeah. Raise my hands up to the the ending of a perfect man is he said, I know someone who will walk with you. Open up your gates and let them come on through, yeah. Well, I have seen the past and I felt the devil go, yeah. I am young and will grow to be old. Yet have I never seen the righteous forsaken. Come on, nor his seed begging bread. He will pull you through if you just trust. If you just trust, He will pull you through. If you just trust, you through. Who will walk with you? Open up your gates and let them come on through. Ooh, yeah. Well, I know someone who is gonna walk with you. Open up your gates and let them come on through. Ooh, yeah. Well, give the praise to the Most High, who dwelleth on the heavens and the sky, a truth and righteousness to be told. Wisdom over silver and the gold, yeah. Raise my hands up to the ending of a perfect man, he said. And I know someone who will walk with you. Open up your gates and let them come on through, yeah.
Hallelujah. One more.
So we don't close out with that. So we can end our night with Yah's King. But first and foremost, before we do that, all praises to the mighty Yah again. Hallelujah. 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 Praise the mighty Yah. And secondly, we have a brother in town here from New York / North Carolina. He is a part of Shema Israel. And before we end class, we're going to allow this brother to come up, and we want to get the word from this brother. see what's on his brother's spirit. I know he comes from a good lineage of teachers, so we definitely want to have him come up and speak the word of thus saith Yah. And we want to ask you all to please give this brother, first of all, rise. Everybody please rise, give the brother a standing ovation, giving him a warm welcome to the stage, and also give brother Chief Malachi your undivided attention as he comes forth to bring forth the word of the mighty Yah. Hallelujah! 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 Praise the mighty Yah.
Praise God, yeah.
Shevu, Babakusha.
English.
Can we see it? Babakusha. First of all, giving all thanks and honor to the supreme intellect of the universe, to the God of our forefathers, to the God of Abraham, to the God of Isaac, and to the God of Jacob, the great, mighty, and revered God, the Most High God, who indeed is our creator, our maker, our owner, our possessor of all things and everything. Secondly, I would like to give respect to my leader and my teacher, Hana Zapor, Ben Zavum, asking that the Most High continue to guide him, shield him, bless him, and protect him. Giving respect to the second in command, his son, Prince Nathaniel Ben Hana Zapor, Ben Zavum, asking that the Most High continue to guide him, bless him, and protect him. Giving respect to the leader of SOG, or the Sons of God, Prince Nathaniel Ben Levi. Next, giving respect to the leadership of the House of Yisrael in this congregation. Giving respect to the elder, Brother Dan, asking that the Most High guide him, shield him, protect him, keep him, and if it be the Most High's will, to give him a full recovery.
Hallelujah.
Asking that the Most High bless Moreh Mordecai, because leadership isn't easy. Asking that the Most High continually guide him, shield him, bless him and his family also with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's indeed an honor and a blessing to stand before my mishpachah, my family, this beautiful Shabbat day. I would like to thank the Most High God for instilling in my teachers certain things that was instilled into me. And one of the things that was instilled is whenever you go anywhere or on the Shabbat day, always be ready to teach, because you never know when you're going to be called. My teachers instilled in us, when you're called, you have to be ready, because our God is so great. How can you not be able to go up and speak about the greatness of our God if given the opportunity?
Hallelujah.
So I thank the Most High God for that and being ready to come here, and that's just through the leadership, the way that they raised us up, raised brothers and sisters from a young age to always be ready to elaborate on the word of the Most High God.
That's right.
And what happened is it forced us to study, because at the age of 16, you would walk in the congregation and you would be called to teach. So every week it forced the young men to do what? Study, because you always had to be ready and you couldn't turn it down. I love traveling and visiting and seeing other congregations, because the way that we praise Yah is different. I love this right here. You know, we're used to drumming and singing and so forth. But the full-fledged concert, I'm not used to it. And it's a beautiful experience to see Yah being praised in a different light and in a different way. And like Sister Elena was saying, put kesef or money behind our brothers and our sisters, because those songs right there are inspirational. It's kind of hard for me to come up behind that, because it's like asking somebody to come up and sing after Michael Jackson performed. You don't want to do that. So after the house was rocking and then to teach after that, I pray that we get something out of it. And the song that the sister sang, the chorus, it talks about the greatness of our God. I think it was something like Yah will heal, or asking Yah to heal us. And that's why we always say Yehovah Rophe, Yehovah the doctor, Yehovah Rapha, Yehovah the healer. Because our God has so many attributes. But without further ado, what I'm getting ready to get into is a lesson plan that I pray we get something out of it. Whenever I teach, because we're in captivity, I always try to galvanize Yah's people and strengthen our people, because we already know that we're living under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. But on the opposite side of those curses are, guess what? Blessings. And we are blessed people. Why? Because we know who the true and the living God is. This is the God that gave us a heritage that's second to none. So that's why I like to galvanize and uplift our people, because we have 6 days once we leave here we're going to be beat with trying to survive in captivity. Because we all know how hard it is to be a nation inside of a nation, where we have to conform, but at the same time keep our identity. That's why men like the Maccabees and the time of Hanukkah has to be at least commemorated, because these were men that refused to bend in captivity. The same way that we're doing, and we're not compromising. We don't compromise the Sabbath day for money. We don't compromise our culture for anything. We have to stand up. And I thank God, once again, like I said, for my teachers and my men, because of the way they instilled things in me. I missed my graduation. Why? Because it was on the Shabbat. I missed my prom. Why? Because it was on the Shabbat. And do you know how hard that is for a 17 and 18-year-old man to do at that time? But it was put into me that it's better to be a friend of the Most High and lose friends in the outside world and make an enemy with Yah. That's right. There comes a point in all of our lives that's sitting in here that we're going to have to draw a line in the sand. And this is the time that we're in right now. So I'm going to address the evolution of the nation of Israel and the evolution of every single one of us in here as a person to hopefully raise our level of consciousness and get us to a better way of living and a better way of thinking. So the first thing that I'm going to do is ask everyone in here. We pray together. We call on the same power together, Elohim, the same power. The people that we're sitting next to, do we trust one another in this room? And this is the part about nation building. And we're going to show things through Torah, so you don't have to answer it out loud. But the first thing that I'm going to ask is, do you trust your brother? Do you trust your sister? Think about that for a second. Now that we have the answer to that, we're going to talk about certain things. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is something called being dependent. Because when we first come into this world, we're dependent. Because we come in as children. We come in as children and we're praying that we're born into a good family that will raise us and teach us in the right way. Now, after that level of dependency comes what? We move out on our own. And we become known as something as being independent. We think that the buck stops at being independent. But that's why places like this was always called, in New York, schools of higher learning. Because when I could get in the house of Yah, my school wasn't teaching me. Why? Because our teachers, their whole goal was always to make us ahead of the curriculum that was in school. So we got a little bit of history, we got a little bit of math, we got a little bit of science, even on the Shabbat day. So that way when we went to school, we were teaching the teachers and correcting them when it came to history. And they were asking, how did you know these things? Why? Because a teacher doesn't want you to be up under them 24/7. Our job as teachers is to make sure that every generation is better than the next. That's right. If you're not better than me, the young men and women that's in here, then I failed you as a teacher. Because generations are supposed to progress, not regress. That's right. So now, after that dependency comes what? That great thing, we move out on our own, we're independent. But there's a third definition that schools do not teach you. And we're going to get into that, and that is what the Most High wants. So the first thing I'm going to do is read what dependency is. It says, dependent, the definition, requiring someone or something for emotional, financial, mental, or spiritual support. At one point in our life, we are all dependent of someone or something. But we are not supposed to stay in that dependent state. After that, we grow up now and we move on to independence. And it says, independence, free from outside control, not dependent on another man's authority. I'm here to break that idea that independence is great. You saying you're independent isn't necessarily a good thing. We're so used to hearing ourselves say, I'm a grown man, I'm independent. Nobody can tell me nothing. But if you're in Torah and you're following God's law, statutes, and commandments, how can you fix your lips to say that no one can tell you nothing? When our whole system was based on judgment. Our whole system was based on having judges. And that's what the Kohanim, the priests, were about. And the tribe of Levi. We had judges, and the tribe of Dan were known to be the judges of the nation of Israel. So that independent thing isn't necessarily good, because when I say I'm independent, me as a man, it's not helping my people, it's not helping my nation any. When we see black women and they say our sisters are angry black women, and the first thing they say is, I'm a strong black independent woman. Saying that you're a strong black independent woman, ask yourself, what is that helping in the nation of Israel, saying you're independent? Because when you say you're independent, you're outside of authority now. So what good is that to do, to say that I am independent man or independent woman? What that's actually saying now is that, guess what? Nobody can tell me nothing. But y'all's structure isn't made like that. When you lean into your own understanding like that, that's where confusion sets in. When you start to buck the system. And what does the Most High say about confusion? He says his Shekinah, or divine presence, doesn't abide where there's confusion. So the next term that scientists have just coined this phrase, and this is why we say that science is just catching up with Torah. Because when you read our Torah, it has economics in it. When you read our Torah, it has mathematics. It has science in it. Our Torah is world history. So scientists have just coined the term called interdependency. So now they're saying you have dependency and independence. But there's something called interdependency. And let's see what interdependency is. It says it's two or more people that depend on each other. And now, since we're supposed to have our third eyes open, or those that's heavy into science, your pineal gland open, it goes back to that question. Do we trust one another? If we say we trust one another, guess what we are exhibiting? Interdependency. Not dependency, not saying that we're independent, but we're showing interdependency. Scientists are now saying that that's the highest level of spirituality that a human being can obtain, because they're opening up themselves to be able to rely on another person. And when I started studying that, I said, hold up, Torah is just catching up. Well, science is just catching up with Torah, because our whole nation, if you look at it, was based on interdependency. And a lot of people like to give opinions, but opinions are like noses. Everybody has one. So we're going to use scriptures to back up how our people were interdependent. And we need to break that independent way of thinking and learn how to rely on one another. Because when you look to your left and you look to your right, and you got that brother or that sister next to you that's fighting for the same things that you're fighting for, and you realize that you're not in this fight together, it helps lift you up. This is how we become one another's most valuable resource. This is when we realize that just seeing each other on the Shabbat day isn't good enough. This is when we realize the importance of nation building. So we're going to show different levels of interdependency with leaning towards one another, trusting leadership, leadership trusting us. Because we cannot take these things for granted. Why? Because the Most High God didn't take these things for granted. And if we were made in his image, not so much his physical image, because our God doesn't have a physical image, but we were made with his characteristics. So he gets angry, we get angry. He shows love, we show love. You're going to see where the Most High God, though he doesn't need us, you're going to see where he requires that level of interdependency. Like it was said today, we're the battle axes of who? Of Yah. So now if we're the battle axes of the Most High, what does that mean? That the Most High God is relying on us to represent and put boots to the ground. So if the God of heaven and earth, your whole simple oath, the God of hosts, is relying on us, how can we not rely on our own brothers and sisters? We have to attain to that level where you look in the mirror and say, my brother can rely on me. My sister can rely on me. And this is how we were taught. And there were 7 principles that I learned under Prince growing up from the age of 15. And when this becomes a part of your life, you never forget it. I'm 38 now, and we still live by these principles. And the principles were, principle number 1, Yehovah is God, there is none else. He is God and there is no other. Principle number 2, to fear God and keep his commandments is my whole purpose in life. Principle number 3, I must love and honor God. Principle number 4, I must love and honor my superiors. Principle number 5, I must love and honor my brothers and my sisters. Principle number 6, I must love and honor myself. Principle number 7 was, I must protect the name of God, and every God-fearing, law-abiding man, woman, and child in the nation of Yisrael. It wasn't just the congregation of Shema Yisrael. We made that vow as men to protect anyone that was in the nation. So guess what? If you had a problem, your problem is now my problem because it's bigger than congregation. It doesn't say the congregation of Yisrael. It says what? The nation of Yisrael. We're a family. So if a brother in Cincinnati calls me with a problem, guess what? Your beef is now my beef. If a brother from another congregation in New York calls me, guess what? His problem is my problem now. Why? Because we made that vow to protect every God-fearing, law-abiding man, woman, and child in the nation of Israel. But there's stipulations. It says God-fearing. And this is what we have to do. So without further ado, let's hit Sefer Tehillim, or the book of Psalms, chapter 82, starting at verse 3. And like I said, we're going to rise up above this level of independent way of thinking and start thinking interdependently upon one another. Because like I said, it's going to get to the point where we just can't be dependent anymore and lean on one another, because you have to get up, get out, and get something on your own. That's why we can't just be dependent anymore. We have to reach that level of independence where we can say, I can get out and do something, because we have 6 days to labor and do all that work. And now, for those in here that may be housewives, it doesn't necessarily mean get out the house when I say get up, get out, and do something, because being a housewife is work. It's work 24/7. I go crazy for a couple of hours of watching my girls. They did a study and they put wages on a housewife. And don't you know they said because housewives are on call 24/7. They're the first to wake up, they're the last to go to bed at night. They said if you would pay them according to like wages, they would be in the upper echelon of the pay grade just because of the things that they do in the home. So those 6 days, let's not take for granted or feel it away if you are a housewife, because it's appreciated, because that's work also. So when I say get up, get out, and do something, that don't mean housewife, you're not working, because you're working in the house and doing a lot of things that we just cannot do. Because what we have to do is learn how to appreciate one another's talents. And that's why this interdependency is so important. This is why I love my brother Marcus, because when we say interdependency, guess what? I look at him and I can open up myself and rely on him and know that if my girls are with him, before something happens to them, it'll happen to him first, because he'll put his life on the line. And it's the same way with me, and you have to build that level of confidence with your brother. I couldn't do that with an independent way of thinking. I have to be interdependent with my brother. Remember, it's 2 or more people being able to rely on one another. And this is, like I said, that doctors said, or scientists say, is the highest level of spirituality. And now, who's more spiritual than the nation of Israel? Nobody. Because when you look at it, the connection that we have with the Most High God is second to none. Because when you look at Shimshon or Samson, he only got his strength when? It said when the spirit of Yah was upon him. That's when he was able to do great things. Melech Dawi, King David, he said he looked to the hills from which cometh his help. His help comes from who? Yah, that made heaven and earth. And he was the one, he was a great warrior. But then he said, blessed be Yah, who teaches my fingers to fight and my hands to war. So we knew it wasn't our physical capabilities, it's our spirituality. So when scientists are saying that this is the highest level of spirituality, we've been interdependent as the nation of Israel. We just didn't know the term, but we were living it. And that's why I say science is now just catching up with Torah. Don't you see how special we are, that our God shows that he's the past, the present, and the future? Hallelujah. With that, so now Psalms 82, starting at verse 3. Bavakusha, please.
Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked.
Now, the reason why I read this, because when we read something, we are bound by it now. It's saying what? Defend the poor. This is a command that's given. This isn't something that's asked or something that's just said, because I come from a school that a suggestion is a command. And what I mean by a suggestion being a command, it's just the rank and file of our leadership. For example, if Hana sees the poor, says, man, I wish that floor, well, you know what? I'm going to get up and sweep that floor. He's suggesting it, but his subordinates or soldiers underneath him, when they hear that, somebody's going to get up and do it. So he doesn't have to do it. Because leadership's suggestions we look at as being commands. This right here is a command that's given. So everyone that's in earshot is given a righteous command. Read that again, Baba Kushan.
Defend the poor
Defend the poor, what else?
and fatherless.
And the fatherless.
Do justice to the afflicted.
Do justice unto the afflicted. So now this is where that interdependency is coming on. Because now I have to rely on you, being that I know that you heard this, that you have to defend the righteous. That now you can't idly stand by and let the wicked overtake the righteous. It's saying be a father to the fatherless. This is where I'm relying on you now, that if there is a child that is fatherless, you come and take the place of that father. Spend time with that young man. Spend time with that young lady. And no, it doesn't mean you have to get with the mother. Pay attention to the child. That's why I'm saying be a father to the fatherless. If something comes out of it, then so be it. But your main goal isn't to get next to the Ima with that command. It's really to pay attention to that child. That's why I'm giving you this, because it was a command that's given. So everyone that's in earshot now is held accountable to this. Just like how it says the heavens and the earth will testify against you. The heavens and the earth and everybody here can witness against one another. So this is why we're doing it, because what this does is force us to gird our loins as men and women and to walk in a righteous way that says now you are obligated, everyone in here, including myself, to do these things. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 17, and talk about this. And like I said, start putting these words in your vocabulary. Interdependency. I'm interdependent upon you. I rely on you, and I want you to rely on me. And like I said, we're going to go through scriptures to show not dependency, not independence, but to show interdependency upon one another. Sefer Devarim, or the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 17.
Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of a stranger, nor of the fatherless.
Now, you can't pervert judgment of the stranger or the fatherless. Tosif, or proceed.
Nor take a widow's raiment to pledge. But thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt.
Now, this is so important, because with this being said, we're relying on one another to do these things. I'm relying on you to do certain things. God doesn't need us, but he's relying on you to be a representative or be a battle axe for him. So guess what? It's a give and take thing. When a visitor comes into your place, you have to defend your place. And I don't mean physically, you have to defend the spirituality of that place. How do you do that? Anytime somebody leaves out of here, they have to feel like they just had an encounter with the Almighty God himself. Right. Why? Because each one of us are supposed to be godly. So when I walk out of these doors, or anyone walks out of these doors that are visitors, they're supposed to say, surely God is in this place.
That's right, that's right.
And I am relying on you to do that. When I walk into these doors, I was showing interdependency. Why? Because I was relying on you to be hospitable. I was relying on you to show me that hospitality of Father Abraham, of Mother Sarah. And guess what? And now you rely on me to be truthful. That when I go out and when I speak to Hanazi support, I can say, man, they showed nothing but love in your Chief Prince. They showed me nothing but a good time. So you're relying on me to speak the truth. I was relying on you to show hospitality. So guess what that is? That's interdependency. Two or more people dependent on one another for something. And that's what this nation is predicated on. Even when you go to the book of Genesis, and I'm going to address the sisters with this. The Hebrew language is very important. Now, when you're in the book of Genesis and it talks about women or our sisters, when they get married, when we read it in English, what is your title that's given? There we go, you're on point. It's a helpmate or help me. Why? Because your job is to help your husband fulfill his duty to God before anything. Because before there's work, before there's secular life, it's the worship of God. God has a divine order. Our Yah has a divine order where he's first, his angelic beings, it's man, woman, and child. But don't you know, when I call you a helpmeet, and they did the best they could in breaking it down, I'm actually downplaying your role, sisters. Because when you read it in Hebrew, the word that's used is ezer, not eved. Eved means servant. So guess what? You're not our servants. The word used there is ezer. Don't you know the word ezer means deliverer? So instead of help me, when you read it in Hebrew, it doesn't say Isha, because Isha just means woman, technically. It actually uses the word ezer when it describes you in the book of Genesis. Ezer means a deliverer. So look at the title that's given to you, and men realize if you are married, what you have in your life. And sisters, you have to come into that living, and men, do not set your wife back from being a deliverer.
That's right.
Compliment her in that. Sisters, also at the same time, don't hold your man back if he has to go do something for the nation. Compliment him in that and let him follow God to do God's work. Because when you look at Miriam, may her memory be blessed. Not Miriam, when you look at Moshe's wife Zipporah, after they got married, he was called to do God's work. When you trace the years, it was years before Zipporah even saw Moshe Rabbeinu, or Moses, our teacher, again. Why? Because he had to do the work of the Most High. So now, sisters, being that you know that in Bereshit or Genesis, you are addressed as Ezer, a deliverer. When something goes down and it hits the fan, guess what I'm doing? I'm coming to you for what? To deliver me. When things are bad, I'm looking to you to be my deliverance. And if you look at it, our sisters have been delivering our black man for years. From the times of slavery to the times of apartheid, segregation, our sisters have always been there living up to that, because whether you know it or not, and some of us didn't, that word Ezer, the Most High God spoke that when he called that to Mother Kawa or Mother Eve, she is the mother of civilization. So each one of you have that attribute inside of you. You just have to activate that characteristic of being a deliverer.
Hallelujah.
So that's why we have to rely, and that's what a marriage is. A marriage isn't so much of going from dependent to independence, because what we seem to mess up when it comes to marriage is we still want to keep our personal identities in a marriage, where the first thing you say is, well, I'm married, but I'm independent. And then he says, I'm married and I'm independent. It's an oxymoron, kind of like a jumbo shrimp, because a marriage is a bond. It's to tie together. So now, in a marriage, if you can't be interdependent, guess what? You are not with the right person. Because if I can't rely on you and you cannot rely on me, what the heck are we together for then? Just to say we're married because it looks good and it sounds good and it's cute? No, we have a job to do. Our job as men are to provide and protect. But when things hit the fan, that's why that word Ezer is so powerful to describe a woman's self and help me, because like I said, a help me just means to help. But when a sister knows that, no, in Hebrew, you were called Ezer. Oh, what does that mean? Deliverer, or to deliver. Do you realize the weight that you hold as being a woman when God put that title on you to be a deliverer to your husband? That's why it says in Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, it says a good woman is a stronghold or a fortress against death. Because you know how many times that we get riled up and we say we're going to do something, but that good woman may say, no, it's not worth it. Why? Because she don't want you in jail, or she don't want it to escalate to your life may be taken, or you may end up taking a life and you're locked away forever. That's that stronghold against death that it's talking about. That's that level of interdependency that we cannot get if we're saying that we're independent in a marriage. Where we're saying, I'm not going to lose my identity. Don't lose your identity, but remember, the nation of Yisrael was forged on interdependency. Not dependence, not independence, but interdependency, relying on one another. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 19, starting at verse 17. And we're going to talk about these levels because this is what we need as a nation. Before a nation, this is what we need as a congregation. Every congregation needs that interdependency. Also, when you're part of a congregation, make yourself available and accessible to your leadership. That your leadership can look at that man or look at that woman and say, you know what? I can depend on them to do certain things, and I know it's going to get done. That's important. Make yourself accessible, because that's the school that I came from. We had to make ourselves accessible and show and prove to leadership that we were ready. You know how many times I got the phone call where I didn't want to do something, but I was available and I had the phone in line and do it? Because it's rank and file. And I know at the end of the day that the Most High, his spirit does not dwell in chaos and confusion.
That's right.
That's why you have to listen, and our leadership is so important. Leadership of every congregation is so important as long as they're doing the right thing. But also leadership is a two-edged sword. It's interdependency, because leadership has to make it where people on the outside, the congregation, feels like they can rely on them, where they can actually say that the congregation can say, I can trust my leader with my secrets. I can trust my leader to judge matters fairly. That's why I read those other scriptures first, because that's the two-edged sword that we have to play and be fair. Because don't you know, in leadership, all leadership is really, you're a glorified servant. Because leadership, you're here to serve, not to be served. You're here to serve.
That's right.
And I'm thankful that I grew up under the men that I grew up under. Chief of Chiefs, great teacher, Hanasi Zapor, men like that we grew up, Prince Shem. A lot of men we went up under, Prince Nathaniel. These men, we were in that congregation, but when something needed done, you have the leader of the place cleaning chicken. You have Hanasi Zapor sweeping floors. He's getting the dirtiest when we're doing things, because he said leadership is a service. And that's what we came up with. When you're leadership, you don't expect the congregation to do anything. You're there to do it. So when you're a leader, guess what? You're the dirtiest, you're the first one there, which when it's time for our holy days and stuff, Prince is the first one there. Last one to leave. Because it's the work, and then it trickles down to the other men and women that's there. Because then you start to say, guess what? Number one, he's an elder. Number two, that's leadership. He can't outwork us. It can't be done. And this is why it's so important for us to do it, because on my job, I'm a CO. We can't let other people be more holy than the nation of Israel. The way that I say that is because everything there is by seniority, rank, and file. That you have the older officers that's there that can say, man, I want a cup of coffee. Guess what the young dudes have to go do? They have to go get it. Or if you see an older officer getting ready to do something or lift something heavy, I don't care if we're the same age, he's been there longer. Sit down, I got this. So if other places are ran the same way, and they do not have God in them, how much us, the ones that face the east and call on the true and the living God? It's time that we be the message that we bring and the song that we sing. Because talk is cheap. It's so cheap that our people do it in their sleep. So talk means absolutely nothing. That's why that Hebrew phrase, la'osotam, it means to do them. And it's referring to what? The law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. But it's also referring to the culture of the Most High God that he set in order. Respect your leadership, respect your elders. But at the same time, our elders have to respect the people that's up under them also, and do not use that power, because it says absolute power corrupts absolutely. But that's why it was given in the law that what? Kings couldn't multiply wives. Kings couldn't multiply horses. Why? Because a king would get the best of the best. So if a king had to be humble, how much more leadership? Because there's no kings on this planet Earth. So if the king had to be humble, guess what? Those in leadership have to be humble. Because the more that you're exalted, the more meek you have to be in this service of God. So with that, Proverbs chapter 19, verse 17.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
He that hath pity upon the poor lends unto Yahweh, and that which he hath given will he pay him again.
Now, it says read it again.
He that hath pity upon the poor,
He that hath pity upon the poor and gives to the poor, does what?
lends unto Yahweh.
Lends unto Yahweh. So now, our power is just, is he not? Yeah. We say it all the time. We say Yah is what? Righteous. And he's righteous when? All the time. So now, when you give to the poor, you lend to Yah. So when you lend, you don't think that Yah's going to pay you back?
That's right.
This is, guess what? That level of interdependency where it's a full circle now. What do we mean by a full circle? The person that's poor is dependent on you to help them out. When you help them out, we know Yah's word. We're dependent now upon Yah to do what? Help us now. So it's a full circle of interdependency. So you see all throughout the scriptures that in order for us to prosper, once again, we were not dependent, we weren't independent, we were interdependent, relying on one another. The poor relies on us, we rely on Yah. And Yah relies on us to be his battle axe and be his representative on the face of the earth. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 9. I'm going to go to 3 more sections and then I'm done. I'm going to make it brief with these 3 sections. And I thank you for your attention. And prayerfully, we all can get something out of this. And prayerfully, we've added a new word into our vocabulary, interdependency. And it's good to know it, but it's even better to apply it. And how can we apply it? We have to start being around one another. And I love my people, and what I'm going to do is, we said those principles, or you heard those principles, I'm going to give my number, and anybody can have it. And any place I go to, and I've met a lot of people like that, that calls, interacts. If there's anything I can do, call them. Because we're workers not just of Shema Yisrael, but of the nation. I did the curriculum for the Shabbat school in North Carolina. And Charlotte is taking on some of the things I've done. I've had people from Atlanta call and ask questions and so forth. And some people even in Cincinnati have asked about how the Shabbat school was ran for the Yeladim or the children. It's no secrets, and that's why I say my number will be there for anyone. Sometimes you just want somebody to chop it up with. If I can, I will. If not, I'll return a phone call, and that's how we all should be, being able to rely on one another. Let's not make it where once I go back home, I never see you again into the next trip. Let's reach out and actually be a family. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 9.
He that has a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor.
Once again, this is telling us now, and when it says gives up his bread, I don't want to come off as it only being kesef or money. It's not. Because you may not be bountiful in money, but you can be bountiful in time. You can be bountiful in other ways. The thing is that you give it to the person that needs it at that time.
That's right.
And that's when Yah will bless you. And once again, that's that level of being interdependent. Why? Because I want you to be able to say, I know that I can go to Malachi and ask him for something. And he'll do it if he can. But at the same time, I want to be able to look at you and say the same thing. And that's why we have to refine and edify ourselves. Don't be happy with the level that we're at right now. Let's continue to rise and elevate ourselves. Why? So the nation can elevate themselves. Malcolm X said the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So now we have to prepare for our children. A righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Yes, we want to leave kesef, but we also want to leave a strong sense of culture, a strong sense of pride, because our children go to these schools. See, it's different every place, but it's hard for our children because a lot of our children, especially in New York, go to school. Turbans, dashikis on, every day, fringes. It's different. And they still have to find a way to hold it down. It was different. When I was 16, there were so many Israelites in one school, it got to the point where the cafeteria gave us our own table, and they knew not to sit there. When they ate unclean things, they would put it on another table, then come to our table, because we held it down that way. We have to love our power. Do not be ashamed. Teach that pride to our children, because we serve the true and the living. Muhammad Ali. And now, if they can go this hard for false gods and false prophets, how much more us? Everybody knows the Walk of Fame. If you don't know the Walk of Fame, it's a strip that's in Hollywood. That the stars, everybody get their stars once they get to a certain level. Has anyone ever peeped where Muhammad Ali's stars at on that Walk of Fame? Muhammad Ali is the only person whose star isn't on the ground. The star is on the floor. On the wall. Everybody else is on the floor, his is on the wall. The only star that was put on the wall. Muhammad Ali said, in order for me to get my star, you can't put my name on the ground. So they asked him why. He said, because I carry the name of the Prophet Muhammad. He said, people can't walk on that name. He held it down so hard that they gave in, and he broke the standard for a false prophet and got his name on the wall so people wouldn't walk on the name of Muhammad. So how much more us that serves the true and the living God? If he can go hard for a false prophet, how much more the nation of Israel that prays to Jehovah Sabaoth, the God of hosts, the God of the sun, the moon, the stars, the God that's the source of all of our resources. And we play it cheap. We cannot do that. That's why I use that star as a motivation. And what that shows is that if you stick to your guns, you can make a change. You can make a change. I'm in law enforcement, and they don't budge for nothing whatsoever. I brought a letter in. I was willing, because after I went through the academy, all that you go through, you're not going to break me now. We will lawyer up if we have to lawyer up, but guess what? They accommodate my schedule for the Sabbath. It's hard because the jail is so big, they got a section where, like, if a storm would happen and you can't go home, you can sleep there. So I work, get off, I'll take a couple of hours, and then go right back to work on Sunday. Because I can't work a full shift until the sun go down Saturday night. So the shift starts at 7 o'clock, the sun is still up. So, and that's when I'm on day shift. So now I can't work the whole shift. So I'll start like 9:30. I'll work a couple hours, maybe to 2. And then instead of going back at night, 7 p.m., I have to go in now, 7 o'clock Sunday morning. So I'll sleep 5 hours in the cell, get up, take a shower, and right back on the floor again. But I'd rather do that and lose sleep than compromise my God. And guess what? Now on the job, they call me, there go Brother Malachi, there go Brother Mal. It's not even officer my last name now, because they know the standard. So this is the things that we have to do. We can do it. We just can't be scared. I'm no different than anybody out here. We can force them and fight to our ability, because that's what the Maccabees did. The Maccabees, look, they died. They died for the sanctification of the Most High's name in their culture. Things aren't that bad for us. When you read the Apocrypha, use this story as motivation. The mother with the 7 sons. What happened? And she was a gangster. Listen to the way that she talked. They could make a movie out of this and use this as inspiration. They got caught and she had 7 sons. 7 sons. And they told one to eat pork or they would die. Looked at their Ema. She said, no, baby, no, my son, you die like a man. That's right. Cut his tongue out, and the mother was watching. She watched her son's tongue get cut out and get murdered. The next one, she watched his arms get cut off and get murdered. The other son's eyes got poked out and got murdered. This mother watched 3 of her children die for not compromising or breaking the laws of your home. You think by the 3rd son 4, 5, 6, and 7, she's going to say, do whatever you want. No. Just don't kill them. Sons, eat it. Break the law. That mother said, no. Die like a man. So you see the importance of mothers also? She's instilling in them the fear. And guess what? They died like men. Prince Nathaniel, we know who his father is, Hanasi. But he said it's his mother that said, no, baby, die like a soldier. Because our women are so powerful, they either can strengthen the men that they're with, or they can weaken the men that they're with. When you look at that movie, the Nat Turner movie, where did his strength come from? He went to his mother. His mother knew that it was a suicide mission. She blessed her son. She knew that Nat was going to die out there eventually, but he got the strength. His mother gave him that strength. His wife gave him that strength. So do we see the importance of our sisters, why we can't downplay y'all and why we have to be interdependent when it comes to y'all? So listen to that, brothers. Even if they're not your wives, our sisters play a role. The first revolt came who? Through women. It was Shifra and Puah that bucked the system. So all of our sisters were revolutionaries. It's just a part of them. So take time to appreciate them. Let's go to Genesis 4, and then one more spot, and that's it. Genesis chapter 4, verse 9. Now, this is a question right here that's getting ready to happen. And I'm going to liken it to today's situation. Because we have to make this Torah applicable to today's times with our children. And that's something that I always stress, because guess what? We're not living in the times of Abraham, donkeys, and sandals anymore. But if we say that this Torah supersedes times, we have to find a way to make it relatable to our children and to ourselves in these days and times. Because we like to think that a lot of this is played out, but it's not. Every situation that we go through, there's an answer in that Tanakh, if you look for it. That's why it's split up into 3 sections. The Tanakh is an acronym. It's a Tet, a Nun, and a Kaf Sofrit. The Tet means Tanakh. Torah, which is Torah. Then you have the Nevi'im, which are the prophets. Then you have the Ketuvim, which are the writings. So when you say Tanakh, it's an acronym, TNK. Torah, which is law, the Nevi'im, the prophets, and the Ketuvim, the writings, which is like the Psalms, the Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. So that way, the book covers everything, every situation. There's no new thing under the sun. We just have to dive in the book. And then it's important that when we don't have an answer to a situation and then it goes to the judges, the judge's word becomes law, if it's just. That's why you have to be just to be in leadership. That's right. That's why you have to be just, where people can say this is a just cause and the answer was just. That's why it says do not revile the words of the leaders at that time, because it's no easy thing if they're just. And I'll keep drilling that. Just, because that's what the Most High God requires of leadership, to be just. And guess what? If the leadership is just and makes a just decision, we're going to call a spade a spade. If you buck that, then guess what? You're the unjust one. That's right. And you just broke that law of reviling the judges that's set before you at this time. That's why rank and file is so important, because it takes emotion out of things and makes you deal with logic. Because the Most High God, if you see, never dealt with emotions. Everything was law, it was cut, and it was dry. Adultery, death penalty. It wasn't adultery, oh, she wasn't happy, he wasn't giving her enough time. It wasn't none of that. It was, adultery was a death penalty. It wasn't no, okay, I'm upset with the Creator, so I'm going to go serve this God over here, and you get to come back. It was a death penalty. That's right. Law is concise. Law is just. And before you do anything, our God is so just. You know the judgments for it already. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4, verse 9.
Genesis 4, verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
That's the question that I'm asking every single one of us now. The Most High asked, where's thy brother Abel? Cain said, I don't know. He said, am I my brother's keeper? Think about that. Am I my brother's keeper? Because a lot of us like to say when we leave the congregation, each man to his tent. Do your thing, I'll do mine, stay out of my way. Once we leave here, it's each man to his tent. And that was the mentality of Cain. Am I my brother's keeper? Now, boy, look at the answer that he gave to the Most High. Am I my brother's keeper? We don't raise our children like that. We raise our children, if you got siblings, to take and look after one another. But opinions can say, some of us can say, no, I am not my brother's keeper. What he eats. What I do. Then the other half of us may say, I am my brother's keeper. Well, let's use scripture to back up and see what the answer is. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 11. Am I my brother's keeper? Because if we are one another's keepers, we're interdependent with one another. I'm relying on you. You're relying on me. Exodus, or the book of Shemot, chapter 4, verse 11. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And let's be able to answer Cain's question emphatically. And for those of us that may think that each man to his own tent and what they do don't affect, because what we all do affects the nation of Israel, whether we know it or not. Whether we know it or not. Because when I moved to North Carolina, we know the section of Israel, the ones that are out in the streets. They said, man, you're so nice. They said, how are you a part of that? They said, don't you know in Greensboro, we have them because they have a gang unit. Said Israelites are on the top of that gang unit. They said, how are you a part of that? So I had to tell them the differences between us and so forth. And they were showing me the crimes and so forth that they did. So what does that say is that we're representatives of one another, whether we know it or not. That's why it's our responsibility whenever someone runs into us, they should feel like they just had an encounter with the Most High God, because they're supposed to see godliness inside of you.
That's right.
And as long as we have the breath of life, everybody here done committed a sin. Let's keep it real. No man is perfect. A righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up again. But the key word there is a righteous man. So there's 2 things. If you fall and stay down, guess what? Maybe you weren't righteous. Because that righteous man is going to get back up again. So that's the first thing you have to consider. If you stay down and don't get back up, maybe you weren't righteous, because it says a righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up.
That's right.
So that means be consistent. And if we're going to fall, don't fall on the same thing over and over and over again. Because that becomes insanity, repeating the same sin over and over and over again. Because the Most High has an answer for that. And he says he will break you. And if you do it again, he will break you 7 times more. He says, and then if you do it again, he will break you 7 times more after that. It will get to the point that you'll be broken and can't get fixed anymore. You don't want to leave here an enemy of the Most High God. As long as we have the breath of life in us, brothers and sisters, we have a chance to make it right. We have a chance to make it right with Yah. We have a chance to make it right with our brothers and sisters. Sometimes it may be years before brothers and sisters speak. But we still have the breath of life in us. So that means we have a chance. So now let's answer that question. Am I my brother's keeper? Exodus chapter 4, verse 11.
And Yahweh said unto him, Who has made man's mouth, or who makes the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I Yahweh?
That's Exodus chapter 4, verse 11. Okay, wrong part. But I'll tell you then.
Some specific you was looking for?
Moshe, where he smoked the Egyptian.
That's before that. So verse 11, chapter
Okay.
2.
Okay. So Exodus chapter 2, verse 11. Todah. All right, so you can go there. Proceed for proceed.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brothers, and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting in Hebrew.
Now, this is Moshe going out and he's seeing what's going on with his brothers. Am I my brother's keeper? This was right here. When you look at this, am I my brother's keeper? When I first read this coming in, I thought about the movie, New Jack City. Why? Because Nino Brown, is that not what he asked? Am I my brother's keeper? And guess what? You better answer. Because Nino's looking around to see. And why did he make you answer? Because your word is your bond, Yisrael. It says the righteous swears to their own hurt. And changeth not. Do you realize how deep that is? When you give your word, after that, only death is supposed to stop that, unless it's a calamity that you have to go do something else. So if you tell your brother or your sister you're going to be there, you better be there. Why? Because the righteous swear to their own hurt, unless something comes up that they can't do. We all make mistakes, but even the little things get held against us because Yah's all knowing. Oh, I'm going to call you back, never get a phone call back, and nothing happened. I forgot. You forgot, but the righteous swear to their own hurt and change not. That's why, am I my brother's keeper? And when Nino, he expected that answer. When I read this, I was like, oh man, this is where he got it from. Because now he can hold you to that. Because now a dude can say, did you not say you're my keeper? So how did you let this happen, or how did this fall through if you're supposed to hold me down? Continue reading.
And he looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting in Hebrew, one of his brothers.
Right.
And he looked this way, and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
He rolled for his brother. Why? Because number one, his brother was getting bullied. And he might have beat that Hebrew to death. Number one, he's not eating the way he's supposed to, so it's not a fair fight. Who knows how long he's been working? He has a taskmaster that's beating him now. It gets to the point now where you're beating this guy. Moshe knew it's no talking. Because number one, he's not even looked at as a human being. Because remember, it was an abomination for an Egyptian to even eat with Hebrews. Because they thought we were dirty. So Moshe Rabbeinu, or Moses our teacher, knew I'm going to have to take his life. So there's lessons to be learned in this. First lesson is, if you're a man, but as well as women, because I'm not one of those that just teach men. Because females have to learn how to protect themselves also. That's right. Moshe knew something and knew how to get down when it was time to. And being in captivity, just like they were in captivity, we have to learn how to protect ourselves. Because that's why it says in the time of peace, prepare for war. That's right. Because you never know when something may happen. So now, this right here is to answer that question. Moshe Rabbeinu, that's why we call him Moshe Rabbeinu. Moses, our teacher. Because Moshe just answered that question. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
Hallelujah.
How can we answer that? Because Moshe took the life of a man being his brother's keeper. So it goes no deeper, and you don't go no harder for a person than taking the life for somebody that's bullying and beating you up. So now, when that question is asked, am I my brother's keeper? When we ask that, or we think about that, and we may be skeptical about thinking, am I my brother's keeper or not? We all say that, Ani Yisrael, I'm Israel, or Ani Ivri, I'm Hebrew. We are our keepers. And it's not an opinion, it's a fact, because we have it right here. Moshe took the life of someone that was messing with his brother. So to answer Cain's question, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. Brothers keep brothers. Sisters keep sisters. Sisters keep brothers. Brothers keep sisters. We're a family. We're interdependent. Two or more people relying on one another. I have your back, you have mine. Like I always say when I teach, I ended out, Israel, life is short. Pray hard. Once again, giving respect to the supreme intellect of the universe, Yehovah Sivot, the God of hosts, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yisrael, giving respect and honor and allegiance to Hanasi Zapor, Ben Zavun, the leader, spiritual leader of Shema Yisrael, giving respect to the elder, Brother Dan, asking that the Most High extend his life because prayers have power. Words have power. There's life and death in the tongue. So we can pray and speak life and speak healing to our elders. So pray that the Most High God bless him. Giving respect to Bore Mordecai for the time to speak to my family. May the Most High God continue to bless you and pray for me. You got something out of it. Hallelujah.
Give that brother another warm round of applause for that great presentation on teaching love and unity in our community. And I praise Almighty Yah for having other brothers and sisters. And I want to thank you again, Sister Lena, for continuing to bridge the gap between us here in Cincinnati and our brothers. That's a very important thing because we are a family. And that's a very important job, so thank you very much.
Amen.
We have had the blessing to be able to encounter some very good brothers and sisters, very beautiful brothers and sisters, very wise and knowledgeable brothers and sisters. And the good thing is our differences can be a good thing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Because I think they listen to you more than they listen to me. So, so praise, I'm just joking, but it's good though. And it's a different point of view because we're not all the same. So thank you, brother. And I want to thank everybody in the class and let the class know that we do appreciate everybody from Brother Geber. Give that brother a round of applause. Start cleaning up our mess, he said. We don't have to talk about that because that brother works very hard to keep our congregation clean, and we do really need some additional people to help that brother out.
Right.
And everybody else, Sister Tamar and the sisterhood, thank you all for listening. We need to get our choir back up here. So come back up and praise the mighty Yah. We're going to end with Yah's King. And make sure you tell our family in New York that we love them all and we appreciate them lending you to us to come here because it's all strength for us to come together. So praise the mighty Yah. And we about to end this party with the Israelite anthem. All right? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. She coming. I'm glad you're getting her out of it. Because she got it. Oh, man.
Let's get ready to rock the house, everybody. Hallelujah.
Turn your mics on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, good. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is King, hallelujah. Whoa, 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 yeah, Say, He is King. Come on now. Oh, I can hear you. Let me hear you out in the crowd there. Shouting, don't act like you don't know the words. I know just
No one raised above. No one raised.
Maybe they're too young and don't remember the lyrics. You gotta teach them while they're young and grow them up in the way they will never depart. Oh, they will never depart. So sing.
No one raised above.
We can end it.
No one raised beside.
And this I know is God.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Lena.
Hallelujah.
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 Praise the mighty Yah.
Yeah.
We want to thank the mighty Yah again for another great Shabbat.
Amen.
We also want to thank you all for coming out to serve the mighty Yah. You are his servants. You are his saints. And the Almighty truly appreciates somebody on this earth dedicating themselves unto him. So the Almighty loves you all for that. Hallelujah. Next, I want to remind everybody about the event tomorrow. Don't forget, don't come out looking cool tomorrow. Come with some clothes on to get dirty so we can have some fun with our youth. All right, play some football and do some fun things with our children. All right. Hallelujah. All right, let's stand and face the east. Once again, make sure you all take the time to go shake a brother's hand and speak to the brother for that great dynamic presentation he gave. And show the brother some love. And let us all face the east and say, Shema!
Shema!
Say it like you mean it. Shema! Yisrael! Yahweh! Eloheinu! Yahweh! Akkad! Hear, O Israel! Yahweh our Elohim! Yahweh is one. May the mighty Yah bless thee. May the mighty Yah keep thee. May the mighty Yah make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee.
Amen.
May the mighty Yah lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace.
Hallelujah.
Also, may the name of the mighty Yah rest upon each and every one of you. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah!
That's all he get. Hallelujah! 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 Praise the mighty Yah. For Yah is righteous. Yah is holy. Yah is greatly to be feared. Hallelujah.